Welcome to the Change Overview module of the U.S. Courts Design Guide 2021 video series. In the previous video, an overview of the history of the design guide and evolution of the process for this update was presented. In this video, we will provide an overview of the changes that have been incorporated into the new U.S. Courts Design Guide. The goal of developing this new guide was to update and incorporate policy change information, to evaluate and update technical information pertaining to planning and designing courthouses, and to provide enhancements to the usability of the document. This training will provide a general overview of changes that have occurred and will also provide a more detailed chapter-by-chapter look at changes to the guide. In order to more effectively summarize changes to the document, we will refer to them as policy, technical, or usability changes over the course of this video. That said, please keep in mind the entire U.S. Courts Design Guide is a policy document.
We recognize that every district has its own unique opportunities and challenges. This design guide update emphasizes the need for flexibility in the design and construction process. The design guide is both a design and financial commitment document. This document seeks to bring collaboration and creativity to the design and construction process. Courts are empowered with the flexibility to configure space within the envelope and allocated budget to meet their needs. However, design and construction should follow the space and ceiling height standards as indicated throughout the guide. As in previous guide editions, if the court unit wishes to significantly change the space standards without exceeding the total envelope of space for the unit, it must seek approval from its respective Circuit Judicial Council.
There are many technical changes and updates reflected throughout the design guide. These changes will be addressed as we explore each chapter. One of the largest technical changes that affects every chapter is how public and staff restrooms are allocated. In the previous version of the design guide, only 2 staff toilets were allowed per floor. This restriction does not consider the floor plate size, nor how many staff members may be located on any given floor. This forces staff to utilize public restrooms, which may lead to inappropriate contact between staff and other parties visiting the courthouse. In the updated design guide, staff and public restrooms are allocated based on the occupant load. For floor plates that provide for staff functions and have very little public interface, more toilets may be allocated to staff. On other more public floors, such as court floors, more toilets may be allocated to the public. This allows the building core to expand or contract as necessary to accommodate these fixtures. In addition to this change, court unit executives are now allocated a private restroom. However, the space for this restroom should be offset from within the court unit space envelope.
One of the biggest differences in the new U.S. Courts Design Guide is the enhanced usability features. Video 3 of this training series will provide an in-depth overview of how to use this guide and how to navigate the enhanced usability features. The guide consists of 18 chapters, an appendix, a glossary, and an index. Each chapter cover sheet includes sections labeled Chapter Topics and Chapter Figures and Tables. The content in these sections are hyperlinked, providing enhanced ability to navigate to your desired topic. A major feature of the guide is the inclusion of room data sheets or RDS located in the appendix. The RDS compile information previously contained in various chapters of the guide and consolidate it in one area. Each RDS contains spatial, programmatic, and technical requirements for a specific space. The RDS are not intended to be a standalone document and should be used in conjunction with information located throughout the guide. RDS information can be accessed by clicking on the space name listed in the Space Requirements table in each chapter, or by navigating to the appendix. Additional information on how to use this guide can be found in the 3rd installment of this training series. Other usability features will be noted in each chapter change overview.
This updated guide is a result of a 4-year collaborative effort between the Design Guide Working Group, the Administrative Office and their technical consultants, the Space and Facilities Committee, and the Judicial Conference of the United States. The Summary of Changes section found in previous guides has been removed and is outlined as part of this video series. This chapter provides an overview of the federal court system, including a discussion of each court's jurisdiction and role in different types of legal proceedings. The content is not intended to provide readers with a comprehensive overview of the judicial branch of government, but rather to supply some context to the chapters that follow in terms of how courts operate and a high-level overview of different court spaces. The Special Proceedings Courtroom has been redesignated as a multi-party courtroom in the new design guide. A multi-party courtroom may be planned for a new courthouse containing at least 4 standard district judges' courtrooms. A multi-party courtroom would be considered an exception if provided in a location containing less than 4 standard district judges' courtrooms or more than 1 multi-party courtroom in a courthouse. Tables 2.1 and 2.2 were updated to reflect revised construction costs and funding responsibilities. Additional supporting and reference documents were added to this chapter. Information regarding cost control considerations and the value engineering process was enhanced. A description for each commonly used project delivery method was also added.
The Barrier-Free Access section was renamed Access for People with Disabilities. This section was updated to reflect additional requirements found in the Architectural Barriers Act Accessibility Standard, or ABAS. The design guide now requires 1 courtroom per court type per court floor to be ABAS compliant at the time of construction. Additionally, circulation terminology was updated to align with the language used by GSA and the PBS P100 and the National Business Space Assignment Policy. The term circulation factor was replaced with the term circulation multiplier. In space programming, circulation multipliers are typically used to build up a program from the net square footage to the required usable area. In the 2007 design guide, a circulation factor represented the circulation area as a percentage of the total usable area. While useful in some applications, circulation factors are not readily used in planning or programming applications. On the other hand, a circulation multiplier is applied to the net square footage to estimate the amount of circulation space that is required. This new number represents the total usable square footage. In addition to this terminology change, the public space area formulas and factors were also removed. Table 3.2 highlights the circulation multipliers. Circulation multipliers were increased for the following court units: courtrooms and associated spaces, grand jury suites, probation and pretrial services offices, and other court units. Please note, if a court unit chooses to implement alternative workplace strategies, they will need to use a higher circulation multiplier, as indicated in the footnote of Table 3.2.
As discussed in Chapter 2, the Special Proceedings Courtroom has been redesignated as a multi-party courtroom in the 2021 Design Guide. The courtroom space allocation remains the same. Many bench positions within the courtroom are required to be accessible or future adaptable. In order to achieve accessibility at these locations, ramps, steps, and lifts may be engaged. The bench position elevations have been decreased in the new guide to assist in achieving ABAS compliance. Additionally, Figure 4.1 was included to illustrate an example of a fully accessible courtroom. Sightlines should be studied to evaluate bench position elevations and arrangement within a courtroom. This chapter was reorganized and redundant information regarding the different court positions was removed. Courtroom graphics were added to room data sheets. Information pertaining to millwork and finishes is provided in this chapter and the room data sheets.
We recognize that jury facilities are used intermittently. Text has been added to the 2021 Design Guide, allowing the jury assembly suite to be used as a multi-purpose space. Flexible use of jury facilities should be considered in the planning stage to include additional technology and furniture requirements. Adjacency information was added stating that the jury assembly space may be located on the first floor with direct public access from the main lobby within the secure perimeter. This optional location for the suite encourages the multi-use of the jury assembly area and better supports other public gathering requirements. Table 5.1 was updated and the ceiling height maximums were raised from 10 feet to 12 feet for the jury assembly suite. Additional language from the 1997 Design Guide was added to allow the ceiling height to be raised when the suite is located on a floor with a higher floor-to-floor height.
In the previous design guide, space for other non-resident chamber suites was allocated via a footnote in Table 6.1. The new table outlines the spatial components that compose the 900 net square foot chamber suite. The need for bookshelves is changing due to evolving methods of legal research. The requirement for fixed bookshelves remains unchanged. However, new language states that the quantities of bookshelves are at the discretion of the judge. Bookshelves were referred to using the term range in the previous guide. Bookshelves have been defined as a fixed unit that is 3 linear feet wide by 10 inches deep. Information pertaining to millwork and finishes is provided in this chapter and the room datasheets.
This chapter was renamed Court Libraries from Central Court Libraries. We recognize that the function of libraries within our court system is evolving. The space table was revised to better align with the space types commonly associated with libraries. The table consolidates individual spaces into functional groupings like seating and study spaces. Archival storage was identified as a need to be evaluated on a court-specific basis. Archival storage space will be allocated within the court library envelope. Please refer to Chapter 15, Building Systems, to review additional requirements to consider when incorporating an archival storage room into your building. Information pertaining to millwork and finishes is provided in this chapter and the room datasheets.
One area of growth noted across the judiciary has been associated with information technology staff. Information technology support spaces have been added to Table 8.1. These support areas are quantified by the size of the courthouse. For example, smaller courthouses containing 5 or fewer courtrooms will be allocated a 100 net square foot IT workroom. Extra-large courthouses with more than 18 courtrooms will be allocated a 300 net square foot IT workroom. In addition to the IT spaces, a facility access card identification room was added to the space tables. Information pertaining to millwork and finishes is provided in this chapter and the room datasheets.
Probation and pretrial functions require significant interaction with those individuals involved in the justice system. These interactions should occur in a controlled space within the court unit. Officer offices have been reduced to 120 square feet, and separate interview spaces are now required. Additionally, a 400 square foot multi-purpose room was added to the space tables. This space is envisioned to be utilized for trainings, seminars, and group meetings for those persons under supervision. Information pertaining to millwork and finishes is provided in this chapter and the room datasheets.
There are no significant changes to Chapter 10, Other Court Units. This chapter was renamed Shared Support Spaces. It was previously called Common Building Spaces and has been renamed to avoid confusion with GSA's Joint Use and Facility Common Spaces. Guidance was incorporated into the design guide to address unique spaces like alternate dispute resolution suites, sensitive compartmentalized information facilities, and fitness centers. These spaces may be required or desired to be included in your courthouse. Needs for these spaces should be discussed during the any court process. Space allocations are not provided in the design guide for these areas. Space may be flexibly allocated within the approved space envelope. Space allocations for telecommunications equipment rooms have been moved into Chapter 15. These space quantities are dependent on the building layout and quantities of courtrooms and other spaces throughout the building. Space will be coordinated for these functions when the AnyCort program is developed. Additionally, space standards have been updated to incorporate the newly established criteria for an extra-large courthouse containing 18 or more courtrooms. Information pertaining to millwork and finishes is provided in this chapter and the room datasheets. The information provided within Chapter 12 has been simplified and consolidated to provide guidance per space type and by category such as public, restricted, or secure space. This guidance provides a level of expectation per space type, allows for flexibility in selecting appropriate finishes, and reiterates that finish selections must be aligned to the approved project budget. Prescriptive criteria are eliminated from this chapter and replaced with a reference to GSA PBS P100. Table 12.1, Sample Finish Schedule, was updated and expanded to provide guidance on finish selections per space type. This is intended as a sample schedule and allows designers and stakeholders to select material options that work for their specific needs if they align with their approved budget. Millwork and furnishing tables have been removed from this chapter and incorporated into other chapters. The information is provided on individual room datasheets and in chapters throughout the guide. Signage is an important element in helping us navigate through spaces and fulfill our mission. Signage is not limited to fixed placards on walls and doors or signs hanging from ceilings. Electronic signage elements are gaining more and more popularity in augmenting the wayfinding experience. The optional electronic signage section was added to the design guide for this reason. This section describes different approaches to electronic signage, including electronic directories, wayfinding elements, docket and schedule displays, as well as interactive kiosks. Figure 13.1 found in the 2007 design guide depicting sign type samples was removed. This section showed examples that were not ABAS compliant.
We understand the challenges of meeting acoustical requirements in new and renovated court buildings. The previous criteria included in the 2007 guide was extremely difficult to achieve. This chapter has been revised to include more practical criteria and additional information regarding how to achieve certain acoustical goals. Guidance related to space type and different RNA scenarios is also included. Table 14.1 was adjusted to remove the inaudible requirement. Table 14.2 was updated to include Speech Intelligibility Index or STI goals. Additional criteria illustrated in this chart has been updated.
The Building Systems chapter remains organized by major system, such as mechanical, electrical, lighting, and communications. Additionally, guidance for systems in renovations and alterations projects has been incorporated at the end of the chapter. The mechanical section incorporates some information related to planning practices and system selections to accommodate acoustical requirements. A section was added to accommodate plumbing requirements as well. Mechanical design criteria was updated to include interior set points such as temperature, humidity, and dew point. Unoccupied condition set points were included to allow for greater flexibility. Air changes per hour have been updated to provide a more flexible range. This information is now located on the room datasheets. Electrical updates include revised language on grounding systems. Table 15.1 was revised to accommodate new technology. Lighting guidance has been updated and requires the use of LED fixtures. Table 15.2 was updated to reflect a range of horizontal and vertical foot candles per space type. In the Communication Systems section, a requirement was added for a Certified Technology Specialist Designer, or a CTSD. A CTSD should participate early in the design development phase to coordinate the required infrastructure for the audiovisual systems. Additionally, the Courtroom Technology Manual was replaced with the Courtroom Technology Audiovisual Infrastructure Standard as a supporting document. Requirements for the use of raised flooring have been removed from the design guide. If raised access flooring systems are utilized, they should be incorporated into the design as a building system.
The policy regarding CCV, or closed circuit video, has been updated to allow for 2 cameras in each courtroom, as shown in figures 16.1 through 16.6. Infrastructure should be provided in all corners of the courtroom to accommodate additional cameras in the future. In addition, the requirement for ballistic resistant material was added to be included at the courtroom deputy clerk station in addition to the judge's bench. The co-tenancy with the federal judiciary section was added to address instances where courts are in multi-tenant buildings. Table 16.1 in the 2007 design guide has been replaced with figures 16.1 through 16.6. These diagrams outline the location of security devices within the courtroom. Other information regarding security devices and equipment has been included on room datasheets. A new Table 16.1 has been included to outline funding responsibilities for security projects. Chapter 17 is a new chapter. The content for this chapter was previously located in the Renovation and Alterations Appendix to the Design Guide. This chapter is intended to provide an understanding of the renovation and alteration process for both prospectus and non-prospectus projects, as well as to address considerations for planning, design, and construction of these project types.
The implementation of alternative workplace strategies differs significantly from the prescriptive approach described in other chapters of the design guide. Although space and rent reductions are major drivers for the judiciary's inclusion of alternative workplace strategies, another reason is the need to update facilities to support new technology and a mobile workforce. An important change in the new design guide is the emphasis in recognizing that for alternative workplace strategies to be effective, the stakeholders need to determine the degree of implementation based on the nature of work and office culture. Table 18.1 has been updated to reflect space sizes that align across workplace settings to allow for modularity. Figure 18.14 depicts modular design examples and how the new space sizes can be reconfigured to suit different needs and workplace settings. Figures 18.2 through 18.13 have been reformatted to consolidate information into the room datasheet format.
Thank you for watching this video summarizing the changes to the U.S. Courts Design Guide. To help collect your feedback, the AO has set up a mailbox where you can email your questions about the revised design guide. Please send an email with your questions or feedback to uscdg_questions@ao.uscourts.gov. Thank you again for watching the Change Summary module of the U.S. Courts Design Guide 2021 video series. In the next module, we will discuss the new usability and hyperlinking features that have been added to the guide.